Hi friends, welcome to Guriverse. Let's go on an amazing adventure together.
Learn, play, and grow with Guri. Today's story is going back to school with Guri.
The morning sun cut through the curtains, hitting the dust motes in a sudden burst of light. Guri did not wait for the alarm. He launched himself from the mattress, his feet hitting the floorboards with a sharp, rhythmic thud. He did not waste a second. He grabbed his backpack from the chair, shoved his notebook inside, and pulled the zipper shut with a distinct metallic click. The house felt bright and full of potential. He sprinted into the kitchen, his momentum carrying him right to the table. His mother stood by the counter, holding a plate of toast. Guri slid into his chair, his legs swinging back and forth with restless energy. He tapped the side of his bag, feeling the weight of his supplies. "I have my pencils, my notebook, and my favorite eraser," he said, his voice quick and eager. His mother smiled, placing a juice box on the table in front of him. She watched him finish the last of his breakfast, her expression steady and encouraging. "You are ready," she said. Guri nodded, grabbed his bag, and stood up. The morning was moving fast, and he was already halfway out the door. The walk to school was short, but the air grew heavy as they neared the gate. The steady hum of the neighborhood shifted into a roar of voices. Guri slowed his pace, his boots dragging slightly against the pavement. He watched a group of classmates near the fountain, their laughter sharp and unfamiliar. He stopped dead. His fingers tightened around the straps of his bag, his knuckles turning white. The motion of the crowd seemed to blur, leaving him anchored in place. "What if they have changed over the break?" Guri asked, his voice barely audible over the din. He did not look at his mother. He stared at the heavy oak doors of the school, which looked taller and more imposing than he remembered. His mother knelt on the concrete, placing a firm hand on his shoulder to steady him. She waited until he turned his head. "Friendship is not a memory test," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "It is about who you are today." Guri took a long, slow breath, feeling the tension drain from his hands. He let go of the straps, straightened his back, and walked toward the entrance. The classroom air was thick with a scent of fresh paper and floor wax. Guri walked to his usual desk, but the room felt different. The usual morning chatter had vanished. At the front of the room, near the chalkboard, a boy stood alone. His hands were buried deep in his pockets, and his gaze remained fixed on the scuffed linoleum floor. The teacher stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the tiles. "Class, this is Ravi," she announced. She gestured toward him, but the introduction hung in the air, unacknowledged. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Guri watched from his seat. He saw Ravi shift his weight from one foot to the other, his shoulders hunched toward his ears. Ravi's eyes darted toward the exit, scanning the path to the door. The other students sat frozen, watching the newcomer with a cold, unblinking curiosity. Guri gripped the edge of his desk, his knuckles tightening as he watched the boy struggle to remain standing in the center of the room. Guri pushed his chair back. The metal legs scraped against the floor with a sharp, jarring screech that echoed off the walls. The sound snapped the tension. He walked across the room, his footsteps steady, and stopped directly in front of Ravi. He extended his hand, palm open. "I am Guri," he said. "Do you want to sit at my desk?" Ravi looked up. His shoulders dropped and the rigid line of his posture softened. "I would like that," Ravi replied. They moved to the desk as the teacher dropped a pile of puzzle pieces onto the surface. The plastic bits clattered against the wood. Guri began sorting the blue pieces into a neat row, while Ravi scanned the board for the straight-edged borders. "There," Ravi said, pointing to a corner piece. Guri took it and snapped it into place. They worked in silence, their movements becoming rhythmic. The final piece clicked home with a satisfying snap. The teacher walked by, tapped their table twice, and nodded. The isolation was gone. The cafeteria hummed with a roar of voices, but Guri and Ravi sat in their own pocket of calm. Guri pulled an extra chair out and they opened their lunchboxes together. Ravi laughed at a story about the summer, his earlier hesitation replaced by a steady, relaxed rhythm. "I was terrified to walk in here," Ravi admitted, peeling an orange. Guri handed him a napkin. "You are part of the team now," Guri said. When the final bell rang, the sound signaled the end of the day. Guri walked to the gate and spotted his mother waiting. He swung his bag onto his back, his face bright. "School is not just about books," Guri said as they walked toward the car. "It is about making sure no one stands alone." His mother opened the car door and Guri climbed in, already mapping out their next game for tomorrow.